Quite possibly, the biggest sim racing title of the next decade is set to be released later this year, and it's shrouded in mystery. But more on that soon. It's been a busy year so far, with yearly MotoGP and Formula 1 games fresh into download queues, plus the rebirth of the Top Racer collection, Off-Road Zen and Expeditions, Super Serious Simulation Le Mans Ultimate, and the 70s car chase movie-inspired Make Way. But wait, there is more pedal smashing and gear changing than you can shake a jerry can at, still to come over the next 6 months. Test Drive Unlimited's Solar Crown has had more delays than I've had cans of Iron Brew. The third game in the long-running open-world driving franchise was first announced way back in 2020, nearly 4 years later, and, well, it's still not released. But there has at least been a series of closed tests, a limited-time public demo, and we know that it's going to arrive on the 12th of September. That's a scant 3 months away. The first two Test Drive Unlimited games in 2006 and 2011 did foster a loyal following, exploring relatively vast environments in licensed cars before discovering car dealerships and dodging cops. That basic template returns for Solar Crown. But this is 2024, the year of seemingly infinite Taylor Swift album drops and AI-powered toasters, probably. So this latest Test Drive Unlimited game is an always-connected MMO. The plan isn't for this to spawn a sequel a year or two from now, but instead to be updated continually as an evolving live service platform. To quote developers KT Racing, the release is not the end of the adventure, but rather the beginning. The game will receive major and regular updates, including a range of content and game modes that will be added to the initial experience. Think Final Fantasy XIV, but cars, in Hong Kong, and not really anything like Final Fantasy XIV. The weather, time of day, and even radio stations will be synced with other players around the world. You may come across other racers and challenge them spontaneously with a flash of the headlights. There'll be a perpetual leaderboard based on the online community results for two rival gangs, the Sharps and the Streets. Earning a car is set to be a deliberate grind, the antidote to Forza Horizon's constant prize giving. Loaded into the game, here's a free car. Completed some festival playlist events? Have another one. Oh wait, what's that? You drove more than 2 kilometers? Here's a wheel spin, and another car. Sorry, here's 55 super wheel spins as a gift. We forgot to feed the chickens. Initial impressions from playing the limited time Solar Crown demo were mixed. On one hand, it was great to see some classic test drive features return, bigger and bolder than ever before. I loved wandering the showroom floor, seeing so many interesting cars, and the progression and pacing felt well balanced. But the performance left a lot to be desired, and although the graphics looked pretty good, you couldn't really enjoy them to their full potential because of the performance. Also, the driving was just not quite there yet for me, especially with the wheel. Realistic speeds and cornering ability without the realistic feeling is probably how I would summarise it. However, the good news is that both the performance optimization and the handling have been developed since the demo was built, so here's hoping for noticeable improvements come launch day. Is a management game really a racing game? Debate in the comments below, or on our Discord server. But for now, we'd argue it is, especially when looking at Frontier Development's yearly official Formula 1 game. When the title is F1 Manager 2024, there's perhaps less off-track management than some classic sims, but rather a focus on what is touted as the race day experience. So each event is 3D modelled, and you don't just watch it play out, but actively switch up strategies and change ERS modes. And instead of romping through multiple seasons, it may take 20 or even 30 hours to complete just one. This year, the development team has implemented often requested features. Smaller details like being able to simulate race sessions, pit lane grid order based on the preceding season's team standings, mid-race mechanical failures, and AI driver market poaching. But the big ticket item is creating your own 11th F1 team for the first time. At last, Andretti's Formula 1 outfit has a way in. The difference between F1 Manager 2022 and 2023 felt relatively minimal, and while we don't expect the base gameplay to change drastically, Create a Team could make this year's a worthy purchase for those who skipped last season. At the very least, it has piqued our interest, especially priced at $35. I best finish reading Gunther's book before this game releases in July. The PC driving simulator platform iRacing is so serious there's a severe damage system, no on-screen radar, and you can only ever use the cockpit camera. It's so hardcore that subscribers even get upset if you call it a game. Don't do it. So naturally, when it comes to expanding its reach onto consoles, it's what? An off-road racing game with Mad Max style buggies? In space? It's a long story, but briefly, two German brothers, Torsten and Christian Volkers, created their own game engine from scratch. It then released a bare-bones early access driving game, Drag Outer Zones, on PC in 2020, before iRacing purchased the project and the technology at the end of 2021. For the past 2 and a bit years, it's been working away to turn that concept into a fleshed out game. Along the way, it even hired dirt rally totem Paul Coleman to steer the ship. It's still lumbering muddy beasts, but there will be a championship mode for a sense of progression, AI racing with iRacing input, and online multiplayer with a unique qualifying and reverse grid format that tracks points. The early access drag remains visually impressive. Now let's see if a compelling gaming experience has been added to the mix as well. It's set for a release sometime this summer too, across not just PC, but PlayStation and Xbox. Any minute now. In fact, more soon. What if there was an open world driving game with an emphasis on tuning, drifting, and high-speed chases, but unlike the aforementioned Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, it wasn't designed to be a grind over multiple years? Or in other words, Need for Speed Unbound, right? Well, yes, but also no. How about another open world street racing game? Not from Electronic Arts, instead, one from the team famed for the highly doable CarX Drift Racing Online. That's what CarX Street is aiming to be when it hits PC later this year ahead of a console launch. It's set in the fictional Sunset City with busy city streets alongside Togue-style mountain passes, ideal for drifting meetups. Slammed ride heights, bulging body kits, and more neon than a lighting wholesaler. That's the vibe. It's all a bit Fast and Furious. Early Fast and Furious, mind, when it was about modified Supras and Jettas, not trying to rob banks or enter space with a Pontiac Fiero. The aesthetic reminds us of a modern-day Juiced, THQ's 2005 rival to Need for Speed Underground, with one crucial difference. None of the vehicles are actually licensed. They look familiar, like, how is that not a GT86? I assume this helps cut costs, but also, presumably, allows greater creative freedom when it comes to potential modifications. We must temper the expectations here a little, however. This game was first supposed to be released in 2021 before being delayed. In the meantime, a mobile version was released for Apple and Android. At this stage, it's a complete unknown how well the bigger versions will drive and perform. So is this going to be like a Floridian drift bit, or a Mustang crashing at a car meet? It's hitting PC first later this year. I've saved the best until last. Like a slice of my auntie's New York cheesecake. Assetto Corsa 2, or its new name, Assetto Corsa EVO. I cannot overstate the importance of this upcoming title. Kuno Simulazione's Assetto Corsa franchise kicked off over a decade ago, and since then, through the first Assetto Corsa and the spin-off Competizione, it has become a benchmark driving simulation. It also arguably props up parent company Digital Bros too. In its 9-month 2023-24 Q3 fiscal year financial report, it cited the outstanding performance of the AC titles, generating €19.1 million in revenue in 9 months alone. The third installment is currently teased within ACC. I just need to drive here, scan this, and ta-da! Now I can read all about Assetto Corsa EVO. Oh, except all that's here is the name and an email newsletter sign up. Whatever. Outside of this, what we do know is that EVO will launch in early access initially for PC later this year, ahead of a full release and console versions at a later date. It will also ditch the Unreal Engine Competizione favoured, swapping that technology for something made in-house. Development team co-founder and executive manager Masaruto has previously explained to our editor Thomas Harrison Lord that AC EVO will definitely not be a spin-off like Competizione, following the legacy of the original game. Let us know your ACE theories in the comments below. What type of sim do you think it will be? And we may discuss them in an upcoming Traction podcast. So those are 5 key racing games and simulations to get excited about across the rest of 2024. But there are more. World of Outlaws Dirt Racing will receive a 24-season sequel in September. Japanese Driftmaster is expected to arrive at some point in a cloud of tire smoke, and it's anticipated that former Burnout developers will release collaborative Smashathon Recreation at some point. If you fancy a 2D management game, then what about Golden Lap from the Art of Rally creators? Or, if you prefer 2 wheels instead of 4, there will be an all-new MXGP game by KT Racing. Then there's GT Manager 24, Pista Motorsport, Hot Lap Racing, there's so many. The good news is, with all of this to look forward to, Traction has you covered. subscribing to the channel will keep you in the loop. We're here for it. See you at the same time next week. Until then though, thanks for watching and have a great day.